Hey, free mind, you crazy for this. Soulful. It's like our responsibility to make us feel something. You know, to make people feel what we feeling. Hey, yo.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is Comics Today. In fact, it is the 90th Comics Today show that we have done. I don't think we've been on consecutive Wednesdays, but this is the 90th show, and we do this show on Wednesday in order to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. So shout out to everyone that was able to make it out to their LCS and support their LCS and pick up some comics. And in a moment, I am going to go to the chat here to see what it is that you all may have picked up earlier today. And I want you to sound off in the comment section. If you're here in the live stream, let me know what books you picked up, which LCS you went to, and if you read something that was good that we should put on the top of our reading stacks, I want to know that as well. Part of the reason why I do that is because every single week people ask me the questions as to, Reggie, what should I be reading? What books are good? What books should I pick up? What should I think about picking up? These are the questions that I ask. And so as part of this show, I like to have you all as the community highlight those books that you are picking up, that you are reading, so as to inform other people, right? I don't want people to just take my word for it. I want it to be endorsed from the community. And then we also just like to support LCSs. So if you picked up a book that is new to you, I also want to know about it. So if you picked up something really awesome that you're proud of, let me know what it is that you may have picked up. And if you are not on the Discord server, I want to encourage you to head over there, because on the Discord server, link in the description, we actually have a section where you can shout out your new pickups. And if you're selling books, there are trading books, there is a room for that as well. Don't forget to check out the Discord server. And while we're on the topic of reminders, this live show that you may be watching right now, that you could be watching on replay on YouTube, is going to be rebroadcast as part of our podcast, which is available on your favorite podcasting platforms. If you search Reggie Collects, you should be able to find me. In this show, we are going to have a couple of guests that are going to come on to talk to me about some things that are happening in the world of comics and collectibles, because I certainly don't know everything. So I like to tap into members of the community that have some expertise, some experience, and a point of view. And we like to share that here on the channel. So I'm going to go to the chat real quick. And Mark says, no LCS today, maybe tomorrow. I'm sure that they missed you, my friend. Daredevil is the man. Madam Blaster is in the house. How you doing? It is good to see you. Kevin says, I just got my first CGC submission the other day. Congrats to you, sir. Hopefully you scored some good books. The OG is in the house. Tina, it is good to see you, my friend. Phil Tastic says, no LCS today, but I got my Swoldier supply box delivered. That's what's up. Fingers crossed that everything arrived safe and sound. A lot of people now saying hello to Madam Blaster. She is a local celebrity. No, it is good to see you. The comic bug in Manhattan Beach takes good care of me. I almost lived in Manhattan Beach. Almost lived there back in the day. Bulldog says, nice wall of first appearances. That is not, maybe it's a wall of first appearances, maybe with an exception or so, but that is not the theme. The question is, as you look at that new wall, what might be the theme of the wall? I actually showed it off on Instagram a few days ago. Completely forgot about it. Completely forgot the wall had changed. Thank you, Bulldog, for reminding me, brother. Sweet Christmas, 27 books for me today. Looking forward to reading Vanish, and Creepshow. I was supporting Vanish. I supported that Substack that they put out there and did not pick up a copy of Vanish. Scrolling through Gibbon Spit. What you know? Congratulations, Reggie, on the 90th episode. Get with the Gibbon Spit, right on the money. For those that don't know, Gibbon Spit is the name of the hot sauce that I rolled out as part of the this month's Swoldier supply box. So shout out to you guys for giving me the inspiration to be able to do that. So scrolling through some of the comments here. Holy moly, that's a lot, says Mark. Who is that? Joey the Stuntmaster. How you doing, brother? Brother and son, I should say. Black Adam 4, Fables 155, Nightwing 96, Vanish 1, etc. Berserker 10 is out there. I see that. Scrolling through, is Joe putting in a bid to have Madam Blaster do a cosplay? Is that what that is? Is that a bid for her to do She-Hulk? Is that what that is, or is that something else? I'm coming in on the end of a conversation. All I got was a box today with spit. Man, you change a letter around and it gets really ungood. Scrolling through Babylon Collectibles on Long Island. He picked up Avengers Forever, X-Men Unlimited 2, the first two reads. Dennis, who was it? Was it Pretty Fly for a Filipino guy? I think it was Pretty Fly that hit me to Avengers Forever. I was able to find most, if not all, of the run in the 100K collection. Shout out to Pretty Fly for a Filipino guy. We haven't seen him in a while. Hopefully somebody has spoken to him. It's been a while. Chris Bigger is acknowledging the fact that there is no DC. Yes, it happens, sir. Yes, Chris Baker, it happens. It does happen where there is no representation. And there you go. To some degree or another, Joey Stuntmaster, that is correct. To some degree or another, what I have represented on the wall right now are basically Netflix shows, the MCU, and just other comic book stuff that I think was maybe more Fox than it was MCU or Netflix. So I'm thinking like Cloak and Dagger. I think Cloak and Dagger might have been Fox. You have a couple of different things back there. You have a little bit of Ghost Rider, kind of, sort of. Technically, it was Robbie Reyes, but I decided to go with that version of Ghost Rider. But you have some cool stuff back there. You have She-Hulk back there with Daredevil as he changed over to the red costume. I thought that was kind of fitting for what's about to happen in the She-Hulk series. So a couple of cool things back. And again, you've got Sony back over here, right, with Venom, all that good stuff. So some cool stuff back there. So scrolling through the comments here. I'm glad you picked up on that, Joey Stuntmaster. Well done, sir. Wellbore is up in here. How you doing? It's good to see you, brother. Scrolling through the comments here, not a whole lot of people seem to make it to their LCS so far. Hoping CGC has on-site grading back next year, like they used to have at certain cons. Fingers crossed that they do. They seem to be showing up a lot more places than they have in the last couple of years with the pandemic, maybe not behind us, but back there. So scrolling, Madam Blaster says, Reggie, I had to pull out all of my Michael Turners because of you. Happily, so they're awesome. So for those that don't know, I released a video earlier this week about Michael Turner, and I pulled from the 100K collection and from the collection as a whole some really cool Michael Turner books. And so I've been on this kick of must-have comics in which I identify what I think are cool and important comics that I have in my collection to showcase around a character or an artist of some sort. And so recently I actually did Michael Turner. So and I think everybody gets that in order for me to show a book in there, I have to own the book. So there's a lot of other books out there that are great. I just don't own them. I don't want it to be a wish list or want list or, hey, here's a bunch of cool books that I don't even have in my collection. It's more of me having fun with my collection by identifying some books that I own that I think are really cool. So I think folks are kind of sort of digging it. Let me show you guys a couple of books that I picked up. I picked this one up, Venom 10. As you guys know, I don't have an LCS, but these showed up from mycomicshop.com. So we picked up Venom 10. We also have Amazing Spider-Man issue number 9 right there. We have some Moon Knight issue number 15. And then we also have Punisher issue number 6. And I think in this issue, Ares is actually wearing the Punisher logo, the classic Punisher logo. I really dig mycomicshop.com. I need to add a couple of more books to my pull list. I need to stop being lazy and actually take the time to do it. But the books show up here at the house, and it's kind of cool to be able to showcase them here on the live stream, in which we actually talk about new comics. So I am scrolling through. Rob says he stopped by Coliseum of Comics in Oakland and got a nice stack of 40 books. Can't wait to dive into Vanish. So that's what's up. Cool, good stuff. Scrolling through some of the comments. Kevin Pitts is up in here. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Mark, it is good to see you. Doug is always up in here, my friend. What is that? Long list of books right there. Chilling Adventures, Weird Mysteries, Creep Show, Fantastic Four, Gunslinger, Spawn, Little Red Running, Darth Vader. Brother, you need some commas, okay? You need some, just a couple. No, a couple of really cool books up in there. Thank you, Anthony, for sharing what you picked up. Herman's up in the house. It's good to see you, brother. As you all can probably tell from the thumbnail, we are going to talk a little bit later in this show about who is America's hero. Who is America's superhero? There was a vote taken. There is a winner, and we are going to talk about it a little bit later. Before I get to my first guest or that topic, I want to give you guys a heads up about something that one of my friends is doing. The folks over at Quality Comics are doing a sale right now. They have marked down hundreds of books to just $29, and they have done this on their hip comic website, their storefront. Quality Comics has been in the industry for 20 years. They have a great reputation of finding, hard to find comics, collectibles in general, but they also have some pretty fair pricing. And a couple of weeks ago, they had a sale of some slabs. Right now, they are doing raw books. They have marked down hundreds of raw books to just $29. I see some Mind Worm up in here, Amazing Spider-Man. So you can see the prices are right there. A nice selection of books. I definitely want to encourage you guys to head over, check them out, and maybe pick yourself something up. There is a link in the description of this video. Huge shout out to Quality Comics and also Hip Comic for making me aware of this so that I could pass the information on to you. So Moon Knight, Conan. Where's Matt Woods? Where's Matt Woods? There's Conan, Thanos Quest. Oh, the Kangaroo. Where is ASM 110 though? I don't see ASM 110 on there. All right, so cool stuff. I definitely want to encourage you guys to check that out. All right, so I want to talk very briefly. Speaking of new comics, we had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, and when this guest came on, we spent some time talking about Miles Morales and the fact that Miles Morales, the creative team that is working on Miles Morales, are now going to pivot off, and a new creative team was going to come on. And the new creative team has been revealed. We now know who it is. We also have some answers to some questions that we did not have when my guest was on the first time. So now I've invited him back because I want to better appreciate how he is appreciating this news. So to that point, Amir, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Reggie? How are you?
Man, I saw you chuckle. What were you laughing at?
Just wanted to know how excited I am about this news. That was funny. That was a great intro.
I was at a thing the other day, right? And the people, they were talking about my teeth, and they were like, we like Reggie because he got great teeth. You didn't pop up with all the teeth showing. So you clearly are having a good time. But no, seriously, Amir, it is good to see you, brother.
Good to see
when
you
you were on the show last time, we were speculating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had you on because you put out these two videos on Instagram where you were talking about your ideal creative team, and then you ran down a list of various creators that you would love to see move on to Miles Morales. I did not go back to watch those videos, but I don't think you got your wish list. I don't think that the creative team that has been announced is the creative team that you wanted. How is that landed on you?
Well, you know what, Reggie? I didn't get the team that I wanted, of course. I wanted David F. Walker and Sanford Green. That was like dream team number 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna win the gold with them. But we did get an announcement. And I gotta say, I'm enjoying Mr. Ziegler's, his books right now. I've been reading Spider-Punk.
Yep.
I'm not upset about this. I'm happy. I don't know if you noticed the list that I put out, but the list was full of people of color. You know what I'm saying? And that was on purpose, because I feel like there's a lot of talented writers and artists out there that should get an opportunity to show that. And Cody Ziegler, so far so good with Spider-Punk, man. So
is Cody black?
Yeah.
Is he okay? I
Yeah,
wasn't aware of who Cody was, but so thank
yeah,
you for clarifying that.
yeah.
But for those that don't know, Cody Ziegler, to the point, has done Spider Punk. I
Hmm.
think he's done She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, and
Yeah,
then I think he's also done. He did the What If Miles
yeah. He did
Morales
one of the one shots for
run.
that. Yeah,
So you are familiar with his work, yes?
right, right. Yep, I sure am.
How was Spider Punk? I've never actually read Spider Punk. Is
Issue
it good?
5, yeah, issue 5 just came out. I want to say last week. I have to read that one, but so far, issues 1 through 4, it's been fun. You know what I'm saying? Like he definitely leans into having a good time when he's writing his stories, but he does throw some, some medicine in the applesauce. Let's put it that way. There's some things in there that might hit a little heavier on certain people, but it's not like overly done.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, so it's good. It's good. I'm enjoying it.
So the creative team in full is Cody Ziegler
Hmm.
and Federico Vincentini.
Vincentini, yeah, Vincentini.
Vincentini, right?
Hmm.
So those are the writer and the artist. Are you familiar with Federico's work? I don't know the name. I don't follow writers and creators like a lot of
Right.
people do. Are you familiar with his art?
I had to look the name up
Mhm.
because I'm like, man, I'm not really sure about this name, but he did do the artwork for Falcon and Winter Soldier, a mini series that came out last year, like 2021. So it was good. I enjoyed his
Okay.
artwork. It was pretty clean. It was pretty clean artwork. So I think they got a nice little solid team now
Okay.
coming up for us with Miles.
Yeah, so even though you didn't get your dream team, I was like, I wonder how Amir is doing today. I wonder how this landed on him, right?
It
Um,
stung a little bit. It stung a little bit because I feel like Marvel wasn't listening to me. I'm like, man, I pitched it up for you guys, man, but
yeah, they didn't make that call. It'd be like, Amir, what do you want us to do? You didn't get that
exactly,
call. I figured
exactly.
you
I was
didn't get
like,
the call because when I saw the names come out, I was like, that's not what he wanted. I don't think that was.
definitely not. But I'm not mad at it. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way. I think he's a talented guy, man. I think Ziegler's a talented writer, and it's a good opportunity for him, man. Miles is a pretty important character right now in the Marvel universe, so I think he's got a great opportunity to knock it out the park.
Technically, he's only kind of sort of the second person that will touch Miles
Yeah,
Morales post Bendis, right?
yeah.
Because the previous writer had been on the project roughly 4 years, so
Hmm.
he has some maybe big shoes to fill. But one
Absolutely.
of the things that you touched on in your comment ever so quickly there was talking about Cody. He likes to have a good time. One
Hmm.
of the things that I saw in this article that was on comicbook.com was the fact that Cody considers himself to be a comedy writer. He's like,
Hmm.
I'm a comedy writer that dips into the drama.
Hmm.
How do you think that his style, his approach, his consideration of himself as a comedy writer is going to work with who Miles Morales is? What are your
Hmm.
thoughts about that?
I think he should definitely lean into that comedy side of it, because I feel like Miles is a cocky young teenager, and some of the puns can come off, goofy and silly and fun. But I also think that comedy, writers and even like comedians, they also have an ability to dive into like some deep, dark areas.
Yep.
So I'm actually looking forward to this balance. That I think he might be able to pull off with Miles being a young teenager in the inner city of New York.
There you go. Good stuff about that. So one of the other things that we speculated on when you were on the show previously
Mhm.
was we didn't exactly know whether there was going to be a new number one. And I threw it out there and I think you were like, no, there's
Mm-mm.
going to be a new number one. There's going to be 1,000
Right.
variants of it.
Right.
It's now been confirmed that we are going to get a reboot. We're going to get a new number one
Mhm.
Miles Morales. What are your thoughts about the 1,001 variant covers that are going to be forthcoming?
I'm probably gonna get about 1,000 of them. I'll say that much.
Don't hold back, brother.
Nah, nah, nah,
Don't
nah. I'm
hold
gonna,
back.
I'm gonna have to talk to my wife on that one, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get at least about 1,000 of them. I'll leave that 1 in 100 for the shop to do what they do with it.
That'll
But
that'll that'll be the one that I get.
yeah,
I'll be like, I'm only doing one. It better be a good one. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I mean, Marvel's gonna do Marvel. They're
Yeah.
gonna hit us with the reboot, but at the same time, I mean, we don't know. He might kind of like continue where Saladin Ahmed left off. Who knows? But it's gonna be interesting. I mean, hopefully he doesn't go too far away from what Saladin Ahmed did. I finally caught up on that series, and so I'm interested in seeing where Cody takes it. But that's just Marvel being Marvel, man.
Yeah.
They can't help themselves.
Because one of the things that the article kind of alluded to, and I think Cody was quoted as saying, was that, the previous writer had taken Miles, out to space fighting some multiversal stuff, but he wants to bring him back and ground him in street level stuff, right? Because that's what Spider-Man, Daredevil, some of these other characters are known for, right? They're not super powered, they're not overpowered, but they're street level heroes. And so the thought was that he was going to bring him back to that level to ground him, maybe not erase everything that's been done, but to return him to his roots. So maybe that is a good sign. The other thing that Cody hinted at is that he's going to team Miles up with a new mentor, and that new mentor is Misty Knight.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him being teamed up with Misty Knight?
Well, first off, I like that he's bringing him back down to street level hero. I like that because I caught up with the series. Miles is going through all types of universes and, different things like that. And, cool. But I'm ready for him to get back to the mean streets of Brooklyn, New York. The other part about that is you said, he's going to be teaming him up with Misty. I'm not a fan of the whole mentoring apprentice thing that he was saying in the article, especially because Miles has been around for quite a while now, and he's teamed up with a lot of different superheroes. Like, he's teamed up with Captain America, he's been on the Avengers, so he's been part of younger squads like the Champions and stuff. So he's done that a lot. He's even teamed up with Nick Fury early on. So I don't think he really needs another mentor, but hey, if this is a chance to get Misty Knight in a comic book, for a few issues or however long it's going to be, I'm down with that. But the whole mentoring situation, I think Miles has got it down as far as his responsibilities as a hero. So
I wonder if Misty Knight is like a fan or a favorite of Cody's.
He did mention that.
It just kind of seems like an awkward kind of thing. Like what is, I'm not the biggest Misty fan, but where's Misty been? Like really,
the last time I saw her, she was in a Falcon story, Sam Wilson, and they're together, they're a couple.
Oh,
so
check that out.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the last time I saw her, but it's gonna be interesting to see how she fits into this whole Miles Morales situation. I mean, he did mention he likes her. That's one.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that. That was pure speculation on my part. But now it makes sense. You're a Misty Knight fan.
Yeah.
You're now on Miles Morales. You get to tell a story you want. So now you get to maybe prop up your favorite character and provide him, whoever with a platform, right? Maybe they get some new fans as a result of that. So it just seemed like an interesting kind of thing. But to your point, Miles isn't exactly new. He's not at the end of the day, can you sign off on my report and certify that I'm good?
Right.
You know what I mean? He's been around for a little bit.
Yeah.
I will tell you, there was one part of that interview that was done with Cody that didn't quite sit well with me. And I think maybe it might give fuel to those people that bring up the idea that Miles Morales is woke trash that we talked about last time, right? This idea of teaming Miles Morales up with a black character that looks like him,
right? For
what purpose? Did that need to be said? Can you just do it and let it go? I struggle with that comment and the necessity for it to have been made. But let me get your thoughts on that.
He's a comedian. He's a comedic writer. And this is what they do. They push the envelope. You know what I'm saying? They have I'm pretty sure he might have even seen your show, man. So I'm sure he's read those that woke, trash stuff. And he's probably going to lean as far into it in this first story arc as possible, and then maybe get back to the Miles stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just want a fun read. Obviously, I want to be able to enjoy this story, and I think he can do that. But hey, I support the brother. Lean into it, man. Build some controversy.
In this day and age, there are accidental things, right? But then there's also a lot of purposeful actions that people take because you are aware of the environment. There's no way that you're a writer or a fan of comics and not be aware
Mhm.
of some of this stuff. But to your
Right.
point, him being a comedic writer, and comedians take it as a mission
Mhm.
to push the envelope, to
Yeah.
poke people
Poke the
in the
bear.
eye.
You
It's
know.
kind of what they do, right?
Mhm.
I just don't want it to go too far where
Right.
he isn't telling a good story
Right,
that
right, right.
people can enjoy. Like, I think there's a fine line between having a point and telling
Yeah.
a good story. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. He's definitely making some interesting choices, already off the bat, by bringing Misty Knight into this, it's basically saying we going as woke as possible, set your alarm clocks, y'all all waking up type of thing, so I'm interested. He's got me, very intrigued with this story and what he's going to do. But I don't think it's going to last that long as far as, that whole deep is, woke and learning from a black woman and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, I think he's going to touch on it because the thing about that is Miles has his mother, what I'm
Yes.
saying? He has his father in his life. So
He
it's
has a
like,
support system of
right.
friends and
Yeah.
family that are like, hey,
Right.
we're
That
here
check
for
him.
you. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
So I don't think he has to go with that for too long.
Yep.
But whatever this situation is going to be with Miles and Misty, I'm sure it's going to push the story forward.
Yep.
So I'm looking
It
forward
better.
to it, man.
It better. To your point, though, one of the other things that he alluded to is having Miles out of the uniform a little bit more and telling more of the human side, the family side of Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts on that? Is that a good move? Is that a bad move? Is it just, hey, tell me a good story? I don't care what you do or what he's wearing. What are your thoughts?
I want to see some of that. I definitely want to see a little bit more of that, because it is something that separates Miles Morales from Peter Parker. The fact that he does have a family, the fact that he does, he has a little sister, so it will make that character a little bit more relatable to different fans, other than having a Peter Parker character who's, with his Aunt May or, whatever, as far as the old school stuff goes. And because he's an adult now, but, still it's like, to see a young person going through life, but knowing that he can always go home and have that support system.
Yep.
That was something that Bendis did a lot of in his early runs. So I'm excited to see him go back to that, as far as Ziegler goes.
Yep.
So yeah, I want to see it. I want to see more of that.
Good stuff. To the point of where this conversation began, I wanted to kind of end on the same note about smiles.
Yeah.
So as I was reading this article about Cody, one of the things that he said is that he likes to tell a good story and he likes to smile as he's reading a book. So I thought that was an interesting little point. Like, I'll be honest, there are several times that I've read books where I had a stupid smile on my face because it was funny or it was good or I was like, oh, that was cute, right? So it was cool to hear him as a writer reflect upon him as a reader. And the thought is that maybe he's going to try to create those type of stories that he enjoys, which are the ones that bring a smile to his face.
Yeah.
So again, to your point about maybe he'll touch on some heavy points here and there, but maybe the overarching thing is going to be a fun story, just a good story that gets told. Is that how you read that section of the article, the same way that I read it?
Yeah, that's exactly how I read it, man. Especially when I first started collecting, a lot of stories, gave me that smile on my face because you want to be able to escape, the real world, so to speak, when you're reading these stories and it pulls you in. And that's like the old school approach to it, because a lot of stories now, there's a lot of horror comics out, there's a lot of, darker stories. So to be able to hopefully bring some, some light and some fun and some lightheartedness, I'm all for it, man. So
that's what's up.
Yeah, I agree with Cody.
When is this book dropping? I didn't look up the date.
December. I don't know the exact date, but it is December.
There we go. And I figured that it was later in the year because I think the current run ends at 42?
Yeah, 42.
And I think that comes out in October, right? So we're going to have a little bit of a gap as they get ready for the December release. But I'm looking forward to it, man. Fingers crossed that they do a good job. I am not buying all the variants. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not.
You don't want to add them to the wall, man.
Man, I've got the whole run of the current run, right? And almost all the number ones and the variants. I can't do that again. Okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
I love my kid, but I don't love him that much. Amir, it's been a pleasure, brother, talking with you. Where can people find you on the social media?
You can follow me in 2 locations, at the Black Podcaster on Instagram, and you can also follow me on the 1 in 100 podcast on Instagram, man. So yeah, that's up and rolling now. We're 2 weeks in. We got some new members to the team. We're coming out 3 days a week. We're on all the major platforms. So yeah, definitely go give it a listen, man, at the 1 in 100 podcast.
There you go. Amir, send me a link and I will put it up in the description of this video. Because
Okay.
people are always like, well, can you put up a link of this person, that person? I can't remember what they said. Send me links. I'll put them up. And then hopefully we can get a couple of folks to check out your content.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. Be well.
All right, you too.
See ya. All right. Shout out to Amir. Definitely appreciate him coming on. As soon as I saw that article about the new team being identified, I was like, I have to reach out to him to get his impression of this, because I absolutely want 6 million variants, says Steve. there better not be 6 million variants. What is it? I'm looking through. I think they just restarted to justify 400 variants, says Squirrel Madness. Brother, they're trying to get that money, man. We want all the variants, aka Smoke, says Liger Queen. Liger Queen. I apologize. Liger King, aka Liger Style. Madam Blaster, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Again, I just ask questions, and thankfully the guests show up prepared, able to answer all the good questions and bring a tremendous amount of insight. I absolutely appreciate all the folks that that actually come on the channel. Mac, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. All right, so for those that are just now tuning in, we spent some time talking with Amir about the new creative team that has been announced for Miles Morales. Yes, they are rebooting back to a #1 from issue 42 back to issue #1. Yes, there will be lots of variants. Prepare yourself for it. My advice is to find the ones that speak to you and just buy those. Buy a cover A and then buy the ones that speak to you and be done with it. Unless you want to buy them all. I personally am not going to buy them all. That's a tall order, and I like Miles Morales. I do like some Miles Morales. All right. So let me you guys are hilarious. Max says, I'm excited for it. That's what's up. Is Liger coming back at me because of my faux pas? Here comes the FOMO, says Steve White. All right. And as another reminder, we are going to be rebroadcasting this show on the podcast. And if you are not taking some Regie on the go, I definitely want to encourage you to do so. All you have to do is to tap into your preferred podcasting platform, search for Regie Collects, and you will find me there. Shout out to my brother Razel, who I spoke to earlier today. He is the guy that does all the editing and gets the podcast up and running for me every single Monday morning around 10 a.m. I definitely appreciate him taking care of me. Shout out to my sister. Today is her birthday. I think she's 29. Shout out to her. She will be at GarageCon. For those that are coming to GarageCon, you'll have an opportunity to meet her in just a couple of months. All right, so we want to get ready. I want to bring up my next guest. As I alluded to at the top of the show, there was a survey. There was a survey that was done, and we now know who America's favorite superhero is. And I want to invite my next guest on to talk with me a little bit about that. Dave, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, Reggie.
Dave, I have a question for you.
I have an
Who's
answer.
Who's your favorite superhero?
Favorite? I don't have a favorite. I have favorites.
Who is your #1 superhero? You know the question, sir.
Look, I love Superman. I love Batman. I love Spider-Man. That's my holy trinity.
So wait a minute. I heard Superman in the first position. That's what I heard.
I saw Superman, Christopher Reeve in 1978 as a little kid. So that one, I love DC. I love Marvel. But there's that element of your first love. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I heard Superman and then Batman. That's what I heard. So my question to you, my very first question is, did it hurt? Did it hurt when it was declared that that America's superhero was Spider-Man? Did it hurt?
I think this is why you brought me on. You're hoping it crushed me inside. No, I love Spider-Man. I have tons of Spider-Man comics. I actually counted. I have over 140 Spider-Man trade paperbacks.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So it's 6 issues of trade. I've probably read about 1,000 Spider-Man comics. I love Spider-Man. So
Yeah.
no, it did not destroy me like you hoped it would. Spider-Man is number one.
I should have invited Chris Bigger on because he's probably dead inside right now. I mean, as we look over your shoulder, there is a Superman and Spider-Man poster behind you. So it's all good, right? It's represented. So again, for those folks that may not have seen this, there is a survey that was done of the favorite superheroes. They did it by state, and what they have landed on is the number one superhero in the United States is Spider-Man. He took 25 of the states, and Batman is in the second position. Dave, are you surprised by the findings of what we see on screen right now?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it feels like every year someone publishes some poll about who the favorite superheroes are, and invariably it's always Batman, Spider-Man, Superman in some order. Those three always seem to be the top three. With Spider-Man honestly seeming to come out on top more recently. And that's not surprising. I mean, Spider-Man has been in 11 live action movies in the last 20 years. He's been in, I mean, I listed the cartoons, there are a ton of them. He's been so present in the public's consciousness. I mean, I really do believe that Marvel and Spider-Man kind of own a couple generations now because of all the movies, the cartoons, the video games, and it goes beyond that too. So I'll pause and see if
No, it was a wonderful response, because my follow-on question was going to be, well, why aren't you surprised, and what do you attribute it to? So you've answered that, because I think, to your point, when you think about superheroes, you think about Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, and you can play around with the order based upon your preferences. But generally speaking, those are the ones that I think are universally known, right? And to your point, I think a lot of it has to do with the various forms of media that they show up in, right? I mean, you can get pajamas, you can get lunchboxes, you can get cereal, you can get toys, you can get TV shows, you can get movies. The list goes on and on of how ingrained these superheroes are. Now, I will tell you, and I want to get your impression of this, I am personally surprised at the gap that exists. 25 states put Spider-Man first.
Right.
Next was Batman with 10, and Superman only got 4. That was a little surprising to me.
Right.
Thoughts there?
Yeah, I've never seen one of these broken down by state before.
Yeah.
And you brought up a great point when we were talking about this. We have no idea what their methodology was. Like, we don't know who they interviewed, how they were interviewed, the age groups. Was it online? Was it someone at a mall with, a clipboard and a pen? Like, we have no clue.
Right.
I mean, I think when I was looking through it, I don't know if you got a chance to look at that list state by state. It was like the only 2 states where Spider-Man was not in the top 5 was Arkansas and Idaho.
Those places are just weird.
I don't know. Superman was number 1 in Kansas, which makes perfect sense.
It does make sense. But here's the list. Here is the breakout of who came in number 1 across the country. There was no breakout, I don't think, for Washington, D.C. But you can see that there are a couple of non-Superman, Spider-Man, Batman insignias that show up on the screen, but there's a lot of red. There's a lot of red on there. My favorite color, my favorite superhero is widely represented here. And the challenge with this survey from this company, it was a company called wisevoter.com, and I will put a link in the description of this video. This company came about in 2020 during the pandemic, and unfortunately they did not publish the methodology for how they did this. And I think that that's a big mistake, because I have questions like, how did you do this survey? How many people were involved? Like, did you talk to just your buddies, right?
Don't talk to me.
They may have spoken to me. I'm gonna just put it out there. A lot of the places I've lived show Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But it would have been really helpful to have like the number of people, the method of survey, when it was fielded, et cetera, because I think that would have been informative. As you look at this, are there any surprises here that pop out to you, or does this kind of sort of make sense? Like, what are your thoughts about this map? I mean, we're gonna do like Chuck Todd at the big board.
Okay. No, I think a lot of it makes sense. The surprises for me, honestly, I think Carol Danvers' Captain Marvel and Black Panther were #1 in a couple states. Not that those aren't great superheroes, they are, and they've had movies recently, but their historical roots don't go as deep. Superman's been around since 1938. Batman's 1939. Spider-Man's either 61 or 62. Someone will correct me in the chat. Like decades, and not that Black Panther's been around for decades too, and Captain Marvel has, just not as long, not as many issues published of their comics, not as much media, not as many films, not as many TV shows, not as many cartoons, not as many toys, not as many as that. I thought it was cool, but I also like what you're showing on the screen now, how they kind of ranked everybody. I mean, Superman may not be #1 in a lot of those. He's he's in the top 5 in most of those. Aquaman won a couple states, which surprised me a little bit too.
That's surprising that Aquaman made the list. I mean, I would have to look at this list to see the split between Marvel and DC, but I think Marvel does come out on top primarily because of Spider-Man. But there are a couple of surprises, and I think you've hit on several of them that kind of jump out that I was curious about. And again, that potentially we could answer if we understood the methodology that was employed, or when this was fielded, right? Because knowing when it was fielded and what was out there in media, right, in terms of movies, TV shows, the release of toys, that might have influenced why maybe Carol Danvers popped up,
right?
Why maybe Black Panther popped up, right? Or not, because it doesn't always match up. But the more data you have, I think the better able you are to interpret what's actually being shown.
Agreed, 100%. That and when we talked about that sort of led me to looking up other surveys and other polls, and I found one where their methodology was based on number of Google searches. So Spider-Man was #1, Batman was 2, Superman was 3. I think Captain America was 4, and Hulk was 5. And it was all based on internet searches.
That's interesting.
They had an explanation at least.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, who knows why people were searching for those things? I mean, I search for those things sometimes because I'm looking for an image. A lot of times for like a video, but it could be people looking for trailers or looking for images or, comics that they may be interested in purchasing. Like, who knows? But at least there was some rhyme or reason that was provided that we can, okay, now I understand a little bit better, right? That's while this was a great survey, not having the methodology, I think was a hindrance. But I want to get your opinion on one other thing here.
Sure.
The article highlighted that during the pandemic, the market share of Marvel and DC grew by 60% in terms of both print and digital.
Right.
I don't know how to interpret that.
I don't either. I have you seen that number before?
No, I've never seen that number. So what was it based upon? Comics, omnibuses, both local comic shops, book sale, like it looks different than the Comic-Con data.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen Comic-Con come out and say that during the pandemic from 2020 to 2021, there was a 60% explosion.
Right.
I mean, I would like to think that there has been an explosion, but 60% seems strange to me.
It's a lot. That's a lot.
It is. It's a lot.
So like you pointed out, I wish we knew where they were getting their data from. It's all interesting stuff. It's all really cool. But when you have all these questions about it, that sort of tempers,
the enthusiasm that one can have. Does. I mean, I'm still over the moon that, Spider-Man's #1 and,
Spider-Man's what Marvel did with Spider-Man, like I said to you, they captured lightning in a bottle and they marketed the heck out of it and sold it so well. And And part of the reason I have so many Spider-Man comics, and I have a lot of comics, and sometimes the thing we don't always talk about in comics is we may own a lot, but if you asked us for the percentage of how many we truly, really like or love, it's not 100% by any stretch.
That's
but
true.
Spider-Man, you know, I've read a lot of his comics over the years, and I think this is just my opinion, you know, consistently these stories are really good generally. Like I get runs of good to very good Spider-Man stories. And I think that's an element certainly for the comic book fans. And what Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby, everyone involved in his creation did is, you know, they created, you know, Spider-Man, he's got a cool costume, he's got cool powers, you know, he's a cool superhero. But to me, that number one selling point back in that day, and even for me now, is Peter Parker.
Yeah.
They created a young character at the time when young characters were only sidekicks.
Yep. Well done. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this was like the reason comic books use sidekicks is so the young readers had like that young person to connect to. That was their in. They could imagine themselves being with Batman or Captain America.
Yep.
And he made it like you, the superhero, not the sidekick, the young person, and made Peter Parker incredibly, you know, incredibly relatable. He had problems in school. He got bullied. You know, he had, you know, dating problems, friend problems, money problems, you know, family problems. And they just made this incredibly compelling, relatable character. And, you know, sometimes when I look at my three favorite characters, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, one of the things I look at are their origins.
Yeah.
And I think Superman has the most sort of mythic origin. You know, a doomed planet rockets their last sun. That's like biblical, whether it's the Moses story or the, you know, the Christ story, you know, the only son to save the world. And Batman had, you know, such a visceral origin. He watched his parents die in front of him.
Yep.
And then I get Spider-Man and I'm like, there's a radioactive spider that bit him. I mean, wouldn't that give him cancer? Like, okay, that's less impressive, except for their brilliant twist. The thing that made him a hero, spoiler alert, 60 years later, you know, he let a criminal run by him and didn't do anything about it. And that criminal murdered his uncle. And to dig into that regret, you know, that guilt, those are things, none of us are perfect. We've all made mistakes. You know, we can identify with, oh, I wish I'd done something differently. That feeling, I just think he's such a remarkable, incredible character that, you know, when you ask me, am I surprised? I'm like, no, he's awesome.
Brother, you have done a really wonderful job of articulating like why I love Spider-Man. Like everything you just said for like the last 2 minutes is it. If I had to encapsulate it and explain why I like him, you just said it. And it's the relatability to who he is as a character, right? There are the extremes of him as a person and then him as a superhero. And it's like, well, my life looks like that. I feel like that. I think like that. Maybe I can be. That's the cool thing about it. So you are a Spider-Man fan. I love it. Yeah. So the other crazy thing that I saw in this survey, and I'll throw it back up here real quick, is that they highlighted here that the market share between Marvel and DC was pretty close. They 31.7% for Marvel and 27.1% for DC. I've never seen a margin that narrow between these two. Again, it speaks to the importance of disclosing the methodology, because maybe this, like, was this, I don't even know how you arrived. I don't know how they arrived at this. I don't know how you arrived at the market share.
Yeah.
Like, again, great survey. I need the numbers behind it. And again, I just wanted to make that point because there may be people that were looking at that like those margins don't look like anything I've ever seen on Comic-Con.
Yeah.
This ain't Comic-Con, so forget about it.
Right.
But Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother, to chat with you a little bit. I want to thank you for bringing the survey to my attention and then also coming on to chat with me about it. Where can people find you on the social media, brother?
Well, they can find me on YouTube, Action Figure Comedy, and on Instagram, Action Figure Comedy. And I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm actually working on a secret project with a couple Gibbon Gang members that's going to debut on Joanna Chronic's channel in the next couple of weeks or so. So there's just a little teaser, something we're cooking up. that
Nice.
hopefully you guys enjoy.
Nice. Make sure you give me a heads up as when it comes out. That way
Will
I
do.
can help share it. Because if it's Gibbon
Oh,
Gang, I
absolutely.
definitely want to support it. Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother. I appreciate you.
Always good to talk with you, Reggie. Take care.
All right, cool. Shout out to him. I definitely appreciate the Bratton brothers. Dave does a really good job of like highlighting things for me that maybe I missed out there that's happening in the world of comics and collectibles. I'm very appreciative for him of flagging that survey for me. And again, coming on to chat with me a little bit about it. There was a comment here. Let me scroll through this. No, DC does not have a those margins, those market share values make absolutely no sense. I've never seen that number anywhere close to that. When you look at what's on Comicron, again, I want to see the methodology. I want to understand it because it might reveal a lot that is actually happening there. So again, a lot of people giving shout outs to Dave. That's what's up. It is all about bringing what is that? Late to the chat, but Spider-Man is America's hero. Just picked up an ASM. That's what's up. What is that? Golden Records. That's what's up. And the LP. That's what's up. So again, huge thing, man. I love some Spider-Man, and it's good to see him be in that #1 spot again. I was very surprised at the rankings. I was surprised at the delta that existed between Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman. Wolverine actually popped up a couple of times. I think there were at least 2 states where Wolverine actually led, which I think is really cool, especially considering I just released a video in which I spoke about some of the must-have Wolverine comics that are out there. And to that point, I was on my slabs. Earlier today. I think I was looking at Wolverine books. Let me go back. Yeah. Some Wolverine books here. So if you guys checked out that video that I released in which I talked about must-have Wolverine books, you probably recognize some of those Wolverine books that were shown in my video here on screen. Some of the ones that are shown I missed. Like I did not include this one right here, this really cool Wolverine Deadpool cover, but there's a lot of really awesome Wolverine comics that are available on myslabs.com. This is a sponsor of the channel, and so I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge their wonderful platform, their excellent pricing, and more importantly, the fees that they charge sellers, I think allow a lot of sellers to actually sell their books and pocket more of the money. So if you are a buyer or seller, definitely want to encourage you to check out My Slabs. Great inventory, and again, lower fees out there if you happen to be a seller. So there you go. All right, let me go back to the chat real quick. I think I am all I think I'm all caught up. Dave keeps the secret, says Joe. That's what's up, man. Do you know what kind of trouble he would have been in had he revealed the secret before it was time to reveal the secret? That is not what he wants. I like that Wolverine Deadpool cover. I think I have. That was one of the covers. You know, as you guys would imagine, whenever I put together these videos of must-have books, whether it be for Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Wolverine, or Michael Turner, because those are the 4 that I've done as of late, there are a lot, decades of covers, decades of really amazing covers by really talented artists that could be showcased, right? And also talented writers, because some of the books that I showcase aren't just great covers. They're also books that just have some really important significance to the creator or the character, and that's why I highlight them. But there's a lot of books out there, so you have to pick and choose what you want to showcase while keeping the video relatively short and showing a spectrum of books that are out there. So there's always a balance, and as a result of that balance, there are things that I just don't show. And that Wolverine Deadpool cover was one of the books that I did not show. There's a lot of them out there. So again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch those various videos. I think the Tom McFarlane video is up to like 5,000 views or something like that. So doing pretty well. All right. With that said, I think it is about time for me to wrap this video up. We have one more video that is going to be coming out this week. That video will be released tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as I mentioned, there will be a live stream later this week as well on Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys will tune in for that. And if you are not following me on Instagram, I want to encourage you to do that. I release short form content on Instagram as reels. I release some of that content here on YouTube as shorts. And I'm also on the TikToks. I'm on the TikToks releasing content over there. So a lot of Regie comics or Regie collects comic videos out there, content out there for you guys to enjoy. I hope that you will find a platform that resonates with you, because a lot of good content is coming out. All right. With that said, we're going to wrap this up. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
My body ate itself until it found this passion. They got fat while we starved, but it's power in fasting. Until I turned to ashes, I remained stoic through my rap heroics. I painted 10,000 poems, then I drank the potion of poetry and motion. I started choking, it was potent. My throat chakra downloaded, knowledge hungry. I was embarrassed I could ask my parents for money when I had a full tummy. So I asked for wisdom, better than crypto, sweeter than honey. I don't take it for granted, I don't wear capes and masks.